The power surge continues for the Blue Jays here at Kauffman Stadium. Their third home run of the night as they now lead 6-0.
Oh, to be a Royals fan. Are you painting your face? Are you saying to yourself, well, this is going to be the night. You watch. For what? I'd be one of those, why are we even going? The beer's expensive. I mean, do we like the fountains or the water? I mean, what is it that we like here? What are we doing? Well, we're Royals fans. Okay. Well, as I've mentioned many times on this show, if you've grown up of a certain era with the Blue Jays, there's a connection of when the Jays started becoming a team of prominence. And that was Kansas City. That was Detroit. That was Baltimore. And all of them stink now. They're so far away from where they used to be. You don't get that feeling in matchup anymore. Even though I guess historically we don't go that far back with Kansas City. I mean, obviously there was some playoffs between the two teams, but it's long gone, and it's almost pathetic to see what that has turned into. The George Brett days, they seem like you might as well be talking about the prehistoric dinosaurs, because that is how long ago it seems. And for the first time, speaking of a long time, Tom Ruminski joining us from The Score. Ladies and gentlemen, Tommy, good to see you, buddy.
How are you guys doing this morning?
Well, I think if you're a Blue Jay fan, you're like, okay, this I recognize. Springer gets on, Bo Bichette, Vladdy, like it all kind of worked. And for Ross Stripling, Montoya really is pleased to see like 50, 60 pitches, going 5 innings. The bullpen doesn't get all torn up. This probably went exactly to plan last night.
Yeah, it really did, Mike. And it's about time that the Blue Jays finally start playing some weaker competition. It's just been a murderous schedule so far. And yet Toronto has handled its own, and especially really getting going now that the Bats have finally woken up. They have won 10 of 12, and they get an opportunity to make up some ground on the Yankees, who conveniently have played 23 games so far against the O's, Royals, and Tigers. The Blue Jays finally starting their run against some of the worst teams in the American League. And it's good timing. I think that this team, despite being offensively one of the worst teams in the majors this season, and especially with runners in scoring position, they're getting hot at the right here.
Now, if we're looking at, again, what they had to deal with in the beginning of the year, of course, as I said, it was rather difficult. Can we at least say, when we look at how the pitching held up while the Bats were trying to catch up, that we can give them a decent mark? I mean, what do you give them? Do you give them a B? Do you give them an A for hanging in there? With this rotation, how do we grade that first, almost 60 games?
I think the starting rotation has been as advertised coming into the season. They were projected to be a top 5 group, certainly one of the best in the American League. Kevin Gausman has been sensational so far, replacing reigning AL Cy Young winner Robbie Ray. He has struggled a little bit in his last few starts. I think that what you're seeing is that he might be tipping his pitches, which is a rather interesting story. With Gausman, he's basically a 2-pitch pitcher. He's got his fastball and he's got a splitter. And if opponents are laying off that splitter, it's really hard just to go out there and throw fastballs and expect to get major league hitters out, because they can basically sit on that pitch. And then you got Alec Minoa. I mean, what more can you say about Big Alec? The guy has just been sensational. He's a true throwback bulldog. Kind of reminds you of like a Dave Stieb or a Roy Halladay when he goes out there. He's just going to give it his all. And the Jays just have a phenomenal record whenever this guy starts and he goes out there. And even if he doesn't have his best stuff, he is going to push it and make sure that he gives his club an opportunity to win. Then you got Yusei Kikuchi, who I personally was hesitant when I saw that the Blue Jays gave him $36 million over 3 years for a guy that outside of one really good half last year with the Seattle Mariners has somewhat struggled to live up to expectations in the majors. But with Pete Walker, I mean, you've seen in the past, he's got a great resume and he's been able to fix pitchers. And now the usage rate for Kikuchi's fastball is way up. And when the guy's throwing 97 miles per hour from the left side, I mean, you got to take advantage of that and throw that pitch more often. And he has, and the results have been there. Jose Barrios, who got that monster extension in the preseason and still only 27, was supposed to be the staff ace, one of the best pitchers in the American League in the last 5-6 years, has struggled, but he looks like he finally figured something out in his last start, a career high 13 strikeouts against his former team in the Minnesota Twins. So you definitely want to see more of that moving forward. And I think with the law of averages, you're bound to. I mean, Barrios isn't one of the worst starters in baseball. That's just something that's not a thing. And you got Ross Stripling coming in there, replacing Hyun-Jin Ryu, going 5 shutout innings against the Royals. I mean, Kansas City is pathetic, so you can't really say, hey, this is, some sort of dynastic version of the New York Yankees that Ross Stripling is completely handcuffing. But 2 hits over 5 shutout innings is a great result to start a road trip. And then, of course, Hyun-Jin Ryu, who has struggled with injuries. That contract is looking worse and worse now, but at the same time, he still provides value when he comes back. I'm sure the Jays are going to want to, combo Ryu and Stripling, something like that, to throw off hitters. But if I was grading the starting rotation, honestly, Mike, I'd probably give him like an A- so far.
Well, I'm going to give you an A for attempting to roll your R's when you said Barrios, because
Barrios.
Yeah, see, look, I know it's on your travels because you're always on vacation. I see all these Facebook, and I sit at home alone going, maybe one day it'll be me. Maybe he'll call me. No, the call never comes. I'm like the terrible closer that waits for the phone to ring and it never does.
Oh, man.
Now, you have not met Brendan Lang, who is on the show. Of course, our good friend Davey Bastl is working full-time for Sports Interaction because let's face it, online gambling is where it's at. So you haven't had a chance to be on since Dave. But
score a bet right there,
man.
Score
bet. So you know exactly where we're talking about. But Brendan's come on. Brendan actually calls baseball in Welland, and I want Brendan to meet here, Tom. And you probably have a question too, because he's actually a real baseball guy. So Brendan Lang, take it away.
Yeah, I was just wondering. I was going to ask about the improved defense of this team, because you talked about the pitching and how they've been in every game, even when their offense was struggling. But do you think that has a lot to do with the improved defense as well from this roster?
Yeah, the defense has been tremendous, and that goes hand in hand with pitching. I think the real stabilizer has been the addition of Matt Chapman, even though he has struggled to get his offensive game going. Just what he brings to that position right there, and what he's done for Bo Bichette. Even though Bichette has had moments where he has had some brain farts and still, showing the world that he's a 24-year-old player only in his second full season in the majors, but just knowing and understanding that you have a platinum glove winner, a guy who's won several gold gloves, considered arguably the best defensive player in the game right now, just hovering around you, being able to give you advice, being able to pick you up. That's been really good. And then Santiago Espinal has been a revelation at second base coming into the season. It was going to be a battle between him and Kevin Biggio for the keystone position, and Espinal has run away with it, and there's no debate what he can do defensively, offensively. That's been great. Vladdy, he's improved at first base, but he's not going to be winning a Gold Glove anytime soon. But for what he is, if you get average defense from Vladdy, maybe even better than average slightly with that bat, especially now that it's coming around, that's great right there. And then something that I really didn't notice, and I've grown great, fondness of it, is George Springer's defensive game. Like, we all knew what he could do at the top of the lineup with his offensive prowess, but I had no idea that George Springer was such a accomplished defender. And when he's playing in center, it really makes the outfield that much better. And that's the key. You tighten up that defense, and you have great pitching from the starters and from the bullpen. And that gives you a chance to win every single night. And with the bats finally hot now, and these poor opponents coming up, I think you're really going to see a big run from the Blue Jays. They've won 10 of 12, but I wouldn't be surprised if you see something like, 20 out of like 25 or something like that overall, to really, like I said, catch up to the Yankees a little here.
Yeah. In fact, you kind of have to. If it's not that, then, I don't like their chances. When the ability to pound away at weaker opponents come up, if you're really seriously going to do, because the Yankees won't let up. Tampa Bay, like I said, I'm looking at the American League East as a whole. You've got obviously Tampa Bay that is always there, and I think that they're just an excellent organization that plays in a terrible building. I mean, that's what they are. I also take a look at teams like Boston, who aren't as terrible as they were off the start, so they're going to play a little bit. And even on a nightly basis, when we start talking about taking advantage of opponents, as bad as we perceive Baltimore to be, in a given 3 or 4 game series, it's conceivable that they're going to give you a tough run in at least 2 of those games, and they're playing. People maybe, again, I understand why you look by it, but on a nightly basis, if you got a 4 game series, you might split with them, and you probably can't, simply because of what these other teams are doing. It's a very difficult division. This we knew already, but I didn't think the Yankees, we were just talking about some of the numbers historically, what they have done. And, when you look at their starting rotation, and 5 of the guys are in the top 14 in the American League or in all Major League Baseball, the bullpen are among the top. They've got the top WAR. You got the offense that is the league best 80 home runs. You've got fielding, which at 990 is the second best next to San Diego. They don't have a lot of weak spots. So if you don't take advantage of these cupcake opponents, you're probably going to be finding yourself out.
It's true. And you know what? I will say the Yankees are off to a very good start, and I will praise them, but I do not believe they're a historically great team.
I know. I told Brendan, I said, you watch. Tom's going to come on, and he's going to drop a bomb on someone, and there it is. Kaboom. I love it.
Yeah, dropping a bomb on the Bronx Bombers, right? So, to just continue that point, I think they've had one of the easiest schedules so far. As I mentioned, 23 games combined against the O's, Tigers, and Royals with a record of 18-5. The Blue Jays have played 1 game against those 3 teams, and that was last night. I just think it's inconceivable to believe that all 5 Yankees starters in terms of the rotation are going to have career years at the exact same time. It's just so rare to happen. It's like what was happening with the Blue Jays offense earlier in the season. How can all these guys with such polished resumes all suck at the same time? And to think that they were going to suck the entire year is just, it's not realistic. And I think the same thing is going to happen to the Yankees. Then you got Aaron Judge, who looks like Babe Ruth right now. Yeah. And I mean, he's on pace to hit 60+ home runs, about to become a free agent. And I think this is actually bad news for the Yankees. It's good right now. But they'd offered him that contract extension right before the season started, and he declined it. I'm sure he's looking for a long-term deal, probably around 10 years, over $300 million, and that would be entering his age 31 season next year. That's trouble. You look at all the long-term deals, historically, they don't work out. The Yankees can't lose a guy like this if he hits 60+ home runs, and with his injury history, they would also be putting themselves in a terrible financial position, giving him that contract. So I think it's bad news for the Yankees. And again, I'm going to tip my cap. 39-15 is an unbelievable start. That's the best record through 1/3 of a campaign since the 2001 Seattle Mariners. Yeah. But again, if you dissect what the team has done and you peel back kind of the layers, I don't think the Yankees have been that good, which I mean is kind of interesting, because if you haven't played your best baseball and you have a record of 39-15, I mean, that's a story in itself. And of course they have gone 6-3 against the Blue Jays, but I think this team, the jury is still out on the Yankees for me personally, even though a lot of guys are already saying that they're the World Series favorites.
See, I knew this was coming. You're waiting in the weeds till they feel good, and then up you pop, just like Rambo in that movie, all underneath the water, right, with your face all painted, and there you. I mean, that's what that was right there. That was beautiful. It's all great points taken. So as I was telling people, with your schedule, sometimes it's tough to put you into a regular time slot, but we'll try to do the best we can because we miss having you on. It's always excellent stuff, always very insightful. You're one of our pals. So we will try to work on a schedule and make it flexible for when you can do it. But people are, kind of wondering here this morning, is this going to be a regular thing? As regular as we can make it based on your schedule is what we're going to say.
We should try at least for once a week. I'm sure
yes.
The stars can align for that. So
yeah. That's good. Hey, Tommy, thanks so much. Great job as always. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Always a pleasure. Take care, guys.
That is Tom Ruminski from The Score joining us here this morning, talking a little Blue Jays, a little baseball, outstanding stuff as always.